Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, looks like Mr. Vance is almost in Islamabad. Who is he going with? He's going with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, the president's top guys. And I'm glad that he's doing it with the politicos, not the career State Department people. They are pretty much useless. They're pretty much useless. The bureaucrats, they're so cautious. They don't want to do anything. They're afraid to do anything. You have to have men of action. And these guys, Steve Witkoff and Jared, and even Vice President Vance, he was wheeling and dealing in private equity for years. That man has been around the block, and he's got a real world sense of things. When you're in the foreign service, it's all about this diplomatic reception. It's all about not offending people. It's all about, they secretly despise the elected. They secretly despise anybody who's, goes through the trouble of getting elected to anything. And I understand why, because often the people who get elected, they know about one thing, how to become popular for the first Tuesday in November, right? There's no real product or skill that they bring to the table other than vote for me, I'll raise your taxes. Vote for me, I'll cut your taxes. Vote for me, I'll do whatever it is you want. They have no skill outside of that. So these diplomats hang around these people, and long term, they develop, there's a bit of a contempt, right? They're just not, nah. And I kind of understand it, but too often that resentment, it becomes palpable. And the resentment under President Trump, it led to outright subversion, almost a junta, a coup. Those ambassadors not listening, those ambassadors bad-mouthing the president of the United States. For all of the fake news we have, and there's a lot of fake news, I'll say one thing right now. If you look on the news and if you look in the newspaper, the issues are important issues, and they're real issues. People are debating war and peace. War and peace, not silly, phony baloney. E. Jean Carroll and what dressing room she used in 1996, and Christine Blasey Ford, the shopping center, and all this stupid, unreal. Literally, it's literally not real. It's totally unreal. It never happened. But we were feasting on it. That's all they were serving us. That's what term one was like. And all of that noise, it helped undermine President Trump. It delegitimized him for some in the eyes of the world. And these people must pay for what they did. And that's why I am so thrilled. Joe DeGeneva, frequent guest on this show. Joe DeGeneva, former U.S. attorney, is back in the game. He is now a senior DOJ advisor. He'll be working for the U.S. attorney or with the U.S. attorney in Florida, looking for evidence of the conspiracy that was designed to take out Trump going all the way back to 2015. There's funny. You hear about January 6th a lot. You got January 6th, and then you have the real January 6th, the real threat to democracy. Forget January 6th and the horns guy. January 6th was something else. January 6th, 2017. Yeah, that day in history. What happened on January 6, 2017? Well, President Trump was President-elect Trump. He was 2 weeks away from becoming president, and he received a briefing from the national security establishment. Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they all flew up on a government jet, and they took their government SUVs to Trump Tower. They all tell the same story, by the way. These guys, these government jerks, they're so taken and swept away with the perks of power. Half of Comey's book is him talking about how often he got to fly on the plane and how he bonded with the pilots and his drivers and his detail. Same for Brennan. Oh, my detail would take me at 6:30 in the morning to exercise. I mean, was he going to exercise before? They fall in love with the trappings and the perks of power. Doing right by the people. What they tried to do was take President Trump out even before the inauguration. They thought they could show him. They would flash a badge, make him nervous, drop this stuff they purportedly knew about in the Moscow hotel room, and make President Trump go crying and possibly resign the presidency before he even assumed it. And those guys must pay a price for that. It's not business as usual. Every day, President Trump, every single day of his presidency is not business as usual. It's a miracle. It is a damn miracle that he is there. From almost being shot to the impeachments to the criminalization of normal everyday behavior. The only guy in the world who writes a check to his lawyer for legal services and is arrested for it. I've heard of politicians going down for taking bribes. I've heard of politicians, right? But for writing a check to your own lawyer. Hey, was Mamdani was with Obama. Huh. Mamdani and Obama went to some library. By the way, not that it means anything, but Mamdani is very, very effeminate. Anybody notice that? There's a real effeminate way about him. That's a word you don't hear anymore. You don't hear that word, effeminate. Because everything's effeminate. The men are like women and the women are like men. What happened? Why is that okay? Is it the hormones in the food? A lot of things you don't hear anymore. You also don't hear, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Because quite frankly, in today's culture, we wish death and destruction on our enemies and sometimes our friends. We're so coarse, so irreligious. You know, the other day I said, I really do believe this. I'm a party of, I see MAGA standards and fairness and justice. I will not stoop to what the other side does. I will not become them. I believe in fairness. There are certain things I would not wish on my worst enemy. And for these crazy 23-year-old women to come out of the woodwork and saying, I got a text message from Eric Swalwell in 2016 and it made me uncomfortable. Get a hold of yourself. If they can take him out, they took a congressman out. People elected him. He was running for governor and they took him out overnight. Why? Because a woman felt offended by a text message? There's something else going on, obviously. You don't get taken out of Congress for that. Even Anthony Weiner lived to fight a few more weeks before he... And what Anthony Weiner did was 10 times worse than what Eric Swalwell did. Well, Anthony Weiner later did something that was worse. We all know about that. Part of the public record. Sorry, but yeah. Started chatting with a 15-year-old girl and all that stuff. Yikes. But Eric Swalwell shot a picture, apparently to a woman who was an adult. It's not a crime. And he sent one picture to one person. Anthony Weiner sent one picture to 2 million people. 2 million people. He showed a picture of his crotch. I don't see the same. Do you? Hey, do me a favor. Is Mamdani more effeminate or is it just me? Cut to Meet the Press. Mamdani, much more interesting to talk about national stuff than local, right, Mamdani?
Let's talk about the Democratic Party and the future of the Democratic Party. Former Vice President Kamala Harris said just last week she is thinking about running for president again. Would you like to see former Vice President Kamala Harris run for president again?
I have to be honest, I haven't thought about the candidacies for president this time. My focus is 2026.
You're the only Democrat who hasn't thought about that.
And I'm proud to say that I am not and will never be running for president. And here in 2026, I want to be delivering for New Yorkers. And when it comes to the national level, I want to make sure that we win these midterms and actually have a vision that we're fighting for, not just one that we're fighting against.
Given that former Vice President Kamala Harris was the nominee in 2024, do you think she would be the strongest person to represent Democrats in 2028?
I know you're trying to get me to answer the previous question again.
Trying.
But I have to be honest with you. I think that New Yorkers are tired of politicians pontificating about other politicians. What they want to see are results. And that's why my focus has been more on potholes than on politics.
No, if only you were worried about potholes. There's grocery stores and developing grocery stores and making statements about Gaza. If only. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. I'm becoming the most organized person in the world. I really am. I always thought I could do it. I always thought I had it in me. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this Marie Kondo person, but Marie Kondo is a Japanese lady, and she wrote a book about basically throwing everything you got out, right? You know, stuff that you keep around because you might wear it someday, or you might lose 20 pounds and it might fit. Right now, just get rid of all that stuff. And another person I heard, I forgot who it was. It was a Christian man, and he said, "You have to take the clutter out of your life. It's bad energy." And I've been getting rid of stuff, and I like a desk clean, and I like my priorities in order. My priorities, what are priorities? And priorities should be bigger than a to-do list. You know, a to-do list. Oh, I got to get all these things done on my to-do list. Well, what's on your to-do list? Usually it's, unimportant stuff. I mean, it's important, but it's not like that important, right? It's not the kind of stuff that's is laundry important? Is sending that email that important? What about your health? What about your family? What about your faith? What about relationships? What about positive thinking? What about growth? What about generosity? What about values? Generosity, that's the first one that goes out the window, right? Because we all feel a little bit under the gun. We're just getting by. How the hell are we going to muster if only you knew how hard it was for me to get through the month, to get through the day, right? Oh, I can't give anything to anybody. No, that's it. If you knew what was going on in my head, right? You'd understand why I can't be generous. Actually, if you're generous, it will be better for your head. And once you start getting in touch with God, you realize the generosity, genuine generosity, not the kind you take credit for, not the kind you say, "Oh, look at me, I just did this wonderful thing. Really, tell us more. Oh, I felt so good about myself." That is a form of vanity. It's a form of ego. And it's okay to have an ego, but now I know that the ego is just a little thing. The human experience, so much bigger, so much more important than the ego. I am looking at the Strait of Hormuz, and for all the talk about the shutdown, I mean, it's flowing through there like crazy. Boats are coming and going full steam ahead. I'm looking at a live look right now at the Strait of Hormuz, and I see all these red triangles going back and forth. Those are ships, baby. Those are great big ships. And I'm going to look at the aerospace right over Iran. Now, that's probably going to be sparse. I met some people from Kuwait this weekend, a place that I have been to before. Very nice, actually. Very beautiful country, very rich. And they told me their parents have to live in India for the next couple of months because, well, of the war. And I understand you can't hang around there. Yes, no one is flying over Iran right now. It's still, yeah. And the ceasefire may end tomorrow. The ceasefire could end tomorrow. On Wednesday's the deadline. So I hope they get this straightened out. I have a feeling these are the last gasps of an administration. Now, hold on a second, folks. Hold on. I'm seeing planes over China right now. I am seeing planes over Iran right now. Oh, it's a Nope. Yeah, it's nope. That's still on the Iraq side. Not one plane. The whole world has airplanes over it except for Iran. Come on, man. Join the world community. Forget the nuclear. You don't need a bomb. When's the last time anybody set off a nuclear bomb that did anybody any good? 1945. We did it. All right? It's more to life than a bomb. All right? Come on. Smarten up. This is getting old. We'll be right back.